Welcome to day 3 of ICLW 2020, our final day of the conference. I'm David Guralnick. I'm happy to be here with you for one more day, and hope you've enjoyed the week so far. And a lot going on, and it's great to have you back. We have a full morning Eastern time once again, starting with our panel discussion about reimagining learning, particularly during these difficult times, and looking forward and reimagining and thinking about what we can do, how we can change things, and how we can bring about changes to the way that people learn, both in the world of education and, of course, in the workplace. So lots to talk about there. A lot of great talks as well. We've got Katrina John talking about mixed teaching teams and MOOCs. We have Marin Pali on blended learning and using an app in a classroom setting. Fernando Salvetti with another cool example and demo video of his eReal mixed reality system. This one's about integrating performance support and simulation. Sigrid Sheffer-Wenzel and Igor Miladinovich on developing 21st century skills. Saranto Sekairis on mobile apps, Ashraf Badawi on machine learning's role in adaptive learning. We have interviews, we have more, and all of that is just before the break. So before we get going, I want to check in with Ray and Jane again. Ray and Jane, for those of you who have missed them earlier this week, have been recurring characters for us here at ICW 2020. They are from a program that we developed for the Practicing Law Institute, called PLI, which is a continuing legal education provider in New York. They are the biggest and best known legal education provider. And this is from a course about how to work with pro bono clients. And so the audience of the course is attorneys, either from large firms or from legal aid offices who are working with pro bono clients. There's a lot to deal with in the kind of situation where you are working with a client who's getting your services for free, just in terms of the way the power structure is set up, their expectations, your expectations. Ray, in this case, Ray Richardson, who you see on the right side of your screen in his fancy office. Ray is an attorney at a big firm who is working this pro bono case. Jane is his client. She has come to see him. She's going through a difficult divorce. Her husband is asking for lots of things, including money that she doesn't have and he has no rights to, and she's been upset about it. So we saw their initial meeting earlier in the week, and yesterday we then saw some recommendations from other attorneys about what we might want to do. And those of you who were here for that session voted on what you thought the best approach was. And we saw from Alicia Aiken, the expert, that the best approach to do next was to ask her what she's hoping for. And there are other things, of course, that would go in that conversation, but that's the key thing to do as we go. So we're going to go ahead. You know, Ray doesn't always listen to us. He might not. There's only one way to find out, and we're going to find out now. So let's take a look at the next scene from Ray and Jane.
Thank you for explaining the situation to me, Miss Wilson. I think I have a good handle on it. Now, can you tell me what you'd like the result of your case to be and what you're hoping for?
Well, first of all, Rick needs to pay the outstanding rent and the gas bill and the bank fees. This is all because of him, and I can't afford it anyway. He's the one with the money. Plus, he needs to pay me child support. It's only fair.
Okay, now, is there anything else you're looking for?
Well, the money, and to make sure that I keep the kids. The girls want to stay with me, but Rick can see the kids on the weekends. Actually, if he can take them Friday night until Saturday, the restaurant where I work wants me to work Friday nights, and I need the money. So if he can take the kids Friday nights, then I can work and not have to worry about finding a babysitter.
Okay. I understand all of your concerns. Now, I do need to make it clear that your husband won't be forced to take the kids during his visitation time. So even if he has visitation on the weekends, you'll want to have a backup plan.
I can work with that. My mother can take the kids sometimes too, so she's a good backup. Though she always gives Emily too much candy.
I also cannot be sure that the court will force your husband to pay much, since he doesn't have a lot of documented income. Now, I agree that what you're asking is reasonable, but there are limitations to the court system.
This seems so unfair. He has the money.
I know it feels a bit unfair, and it can also be a bit tricky, but you know he has the money, and we need to prove that he has the money. Now, do you have the receipts of the bills he paid every month? Because those would be good.
I don't have anything with me. Do I need them now?
You don't need them now, but we both have some to-dos to move forward on this case. So let's make a list of them together now. Now, do you want to write these down for yourself, or would you prefer that I write the list for you?
It's easier for me if you do it. I can never read my own handwriting.
Okay, I'd be happy to. First, I have a task. I need to draft a response to the divorce summons. And once I finish it, we'll go over it together. Now, your list has a few items. First, you want to get the receipts for the bills your husband paid every month, as well as copies of all outstanding bills, not just the gas bill, but all current bills. Also, any bank statements from before your account was closed. Now, your bank should give you those even though your account is closed. Now, you also want proof of your own income, pay stubs, tax returns, anything to show your income. And finally, any documentation you can find or put together demonstrating your husband's income. Maybe make a list of the bills he paid while you were together and other expenses that he paid that can be checked out. You want to prove that he has money coming in. Okay, now, here's the list. And I'm also going to give you a handful of folders to help keep it organized.
Okay. I think I understand what to do.
We saw the next thing, he did ask what she's hoping for, and he gave her some more instructions about what to do next. She's got some paperwork to fill out. She's got a lot of things going on. We're going to see one more scene. We'd love to follow them to the conclusion. You have to come back next year to see the total end of the story, but we do have one more scene that follows. So let's take a look at one more scene of Ray and Jane, the next one after what we just saw.
Glad everything is clear and you know what you need to do. These are all important tasks to complete. So let's meet again after you've done these and I've written my response to the petition. We can go over everything together when we meet again. So how about next Tuesday at 9 a.m.?
Sure. Okay.
We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial it. We're sorry. Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again.
This is Ray.
Hi, Ray. Jane Wilson is out in the lobby for you.
Okay.
Would you like her to wait out here?
Yeah. Let her know I'll come out and get her. Thanks. So I'm frustrated because I had us down as meeting at 9 o'clock.
I'm so sorry. But the bus was late and I had to drop the kids off at school before I came here. But I figured that everyone runs late anyway. When I went to the legal aid clinic, I was on time, but I still had to wait an hour. So it's okay that I'm late, right?
Well, I have another appointment at 10, so we won't have much time. Let's do our best to go over things quickly. Did you bring all the documents we discussed?
I have most of them, but I wasn't able to get any of the bank documents. My husband gets those online, and I don't even have internet access anymore. So I don't know how I could even get those.
Okay, lots of things to think about, and what we saw Jane not showing up for the meeting, and as if we'd continued on in the course, we would have heard Lish, the subject matter expert, explain that a little bit, which is basically because there's an interesting issue in setting up meetings where Ray had said, can you be here Tuesday at 9? And that's easily perceived particularly because he's in a position of power, he's behind the desk, he's giving away free services, that's not really perceived necessarily as a question. It's perceived as, I need you to be here Tuesday at 9. So she said yes, but she couldn't really make it. She kind of hesitated, and it turns out she knew this was going to be hard. She's also reliant on buses and public transportation that might not be reliable, might not be consistent, other things going on. We saw Ray trying to call her, and her husband has everything she has no money right now. We've heard that from the earlier scene. He has he has everything from the documents to the phone, so she even may have lost her phone service. So there's a lot to think about that took Ray by surprise in working in this kind of situation, and he has to learn to adjust how he works with her so that he asks different questions. If he asked in a different way about whether she could make a meeting, things would have been different. We would learn that throughout the rest of the course and many other things. So gives you a feel for Ray and Jane, and for the way this kind of storyline can play out. And they're compelling characters and kind of fun to be around. So hope to we'll talk more about them as we go on throughout the rest of the day. So they will somehow come up. They always have. So we'll see. All right, but that is it for the Ray and Jane scenario. So coming up next is going to be our panel. As is somewhat of a theme through a good portion of the conference, we're at a tremendous time of change in society, particularly due to the pandemic, and particularly in the world of learning, among others. Everybody has switched to working remotely, to learning remotely, and here we are. We now have an opportunity to rethink what education means. We have an opportunity to rethink what learning and development means, what workplace learning means, how do things work in workplaces, how do people perform, how do they learn, how can we affect change, and perhaps radical change. And that's a lot of what we're going to talk about next with our panel. Technology has the potential to allow us to not only just redesign learning experiences that are active, personal, engaging, and respectful, but to change the culture of traditional learning, moving from memorizing and testing, changing the roles of teachers and trainers, fostering individualism and creativity, continuing at the same time to value the expertise that teachers, trainers, professors, and experts all bring to the table. And with technology, we can scale up. As we've been talking through the past couple of days, we can scale up. We have the opportunity to do so. We can do different things than we could do before. We can build something that's a great experience and build it online, and it can scale up to 1 million people or 10 million people as easily as to one person. And we want to do that and make it accessible to everybody. And that's really, I think, where we all want to go, globally as a society. And a lot of us here can hopefully help drive that. So it's really why we're here. And I'm delighted to have such a distinguished panel of international experts with me today for our panel discussion. So we're going to roll the panel intro, and then we'll come back with our panelists.